And we're live.
Good. I've been dead for so long. Dead inside.
It's because you were in Winnipeg.
I was in Winnipeg.
Yeah, that's what killed you.
And Brandon.
Damn.
I didn't think there was a place worse than Moncton, and then I went to Brandon.
Whoa.
You should be happy you found someplace worse.
I didn't say it was worse. I said I didn't think there would be, and there still isn't.
All right, let's get this rolling.
Close. All right. Maybe I should start recording first. Oh man, isn't it great?
We're so professional. We're so professional.
It's so. Oh yeah, definitely professional. Here, let me start recording now.
We're not on YouTube or anything, so it's okay.
Yes, we are.
I know we are.
We're not live.
It's not like I have 3 engineering degrees. Oh, shit.
Okay.
All right.
Take 2.
All right. No, that didn't work. That did not work for some fucking reason. Because I got Treg's head.
What does my head have to do with it?
It's a picture of your head. I don't know why.
You put it there.
It's
on your computer.
Remember, this is a great live show for everyone that's watching right now.
Isn't it friggin' awesome?
We can just
Habs
have
Unfiltered
Unfiltered special.
The outtakes.
Jesus.
That's definitely unfiltered.
Yeah. This is like me laughing at the start of the show from the 69ing from the bottom thing.
Yeah. All right. Let's try this again. There.
Are you recording?
Chat, you'll know when. Okay, here we go.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to Habs Unfiltered. This independent podcast is featured on the Hockey Writers and iHeartRadio, bringing you honest and unfiltered entertainment and discussion on the Montreal Canadiens and hockey news. Your hosts, Matt Smith, Treg Wilson, and Blaine Putvin, are proud to be one of your trusted sources. If you are talking about it, so are we. And welcome to Habs Unfiltered, episode 295, the What the Hell Have I Done episode. How do we do this? The random old man wandering through the woods. I'm your host, Blaine Putvin. I'm joined by my co-host, Treg Wilson.
Hello. If there's any aspiring producers out there, DM us.
Dear God, please. And our other co-host, Matt Smith.
Good evening, and I echo that.
As the current producer of this masterpiece, I third that because, wow.
Okay, we're only 295 episodes in, so
I'll figure it out someday.
We're just starting out, so
what they say, once you get 500, you're set.
Yeah. As long as we don't keep changing how we put the show out, which we tend to do every few episodes.
True.
Just because we need that degree of difficulty.
That's right. Gonna keep us on our toes.
Oh God, yeah. Now that we're with Crier Media, we've got that megaphone app. Things are more difficult. For those who are watching us live on YouTube before we started recording, I hope you enjoyed that error of comedies. We're going to talk a little bit about we'll talk about the Chicago game, and we'll talk in general about the Canadiens at the quarter point of the season. And of course, we will chirp each other incessantly. So without further ado, why don't we just jump into the game about Chicago? Canadiens roll into the Windy City and pull off a big win, a 3-2 win into shootout. So Matt, why don't you give us a little bit of a view of what you saw and what you think of the game?
Well, my general outlook of the game was this was a winnable game, and I believe they should have won this game in regulation instead of it going all the way to a shootout. You're playing a bottom 5 team in the league, and Montreal really did, put the pressure on the Blackhawks for the majority of it. Edmondson was able to score his first goal of the season, a guy that you don't really see as a goal scorer off of a nice pass from Monahan, who I thought played one of his best, if not his best game with the Canadiens. Anytime he touched the puck, he was creating chances for his line. He was creating turnovers, etc., and led to quite a bit of offense off the stick of one off of Edmondson, which led to a goal. Anderson had some glorious chances and was robbed several times. And then Armia was looking for his first goal, and he rang one off the post as well. Overall, like, the outlook of the game for me, like, they looked good throughout, and it was really their own mistakes that led to this game going to overtime. And once again, even though, yes, they scored that goal on the power play that Suzuki got, which was his 12th of the year, you have an opportunity in overtime. They had 5-6 guys on the ice for Chicago. It was an awful change for them. And you get a 4-on-3, which I know that isn't something that you're going to practice all the time, but it's something that needs work. The power play we know needs work. And it was an opportunity to win the game in the extra frame. Luckily for the Canadiens, they've been very good in the shootout this year. Now they're 3-0, going 3 for 3 in the shootout with Suzuki, who pulled off another one of those signature goals. Fantastic goal by him. Cole Caulfield, and then Kirby Dach comes back to the team that drafted him and, sticks the dagger in for the winner. However, in my opinion, it never should have went to a shootout. I'm happy with their effort, though. Happy with the win. Canadiens are going to go home now to San Jose, playing another bottom team in the league, and hopefully they can pick up another win.
I want to talk a little bit about that shootout goal by Suzuki. You notice how every time he goes for the shootout, and he's shooting 100% right now, he does the same thing. He comes in the same angle, the same speed, but as soon as he gets near the goalie, he's got 4 or 5 different options based on what the goalie does.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it's just, we're talking like an all-star level version of a center who's able to do that. And he's almost there. That shootout, the way he goes about the shootout, I'm in awe. I mean, Caulfield has that great shot, and he scored a 5-hole. Amazing. But the approach that Suzuki makes in the shootouts is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a big improvement from last year. And it used to be one of those things that the Canadiens were going to overtime or they were going to a shootout, they were probably not going to win, especially in overtime. And now we're seeing a team that can push the play in overtime, and we're seeing a team that can definitely compete in a shootout because their skilled players are demonstrating that skill and they're getting that opportunity. Still makes me nervous every time, but it is what it is, right? And another thing I'll say, their penalty kill is a hell of a lot better than what it was last year as well.
Well, yeah, it's incredibly. It's taken a leap, a massive leap forward. It's gone plaid in comparison to what it was before.
Yeah.
Treg, what about you? What are your views of the game?
I thought Canadians played a great game. I thought Soderblom or whatever his name was, I thought he had a hell of a game. He robbed.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just like that game could have easily been 6-1.
Yeah.
Easily. I thought that was a bad penalty by Gooley. It was a penalty. I don't care what anyone says. It was a bad time to take it, but the Canadians had their chances on the power play, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. They passed the puck too much on the power play. Everyone knows they're trying to get it to Suzuki or Caulfield. I think Dave Poulin said it right. Monahan or somebody else has to start being a shooter on that power play, because everyone knows if they can't get it to Caulfield, they're going to try to get it to Suzuki, and they're just overplaying Caulfield to push it to Suzuki, and everyone knows where the puck's coming from.
Yeah.
What if it's just a bomb from Doc at the point?
Anything. And I've said this before, they got to start shooting more in the power play, especially the one in the 4-on-3 in the overtime. They should have just started shooting from anywhere, create the chaos. And then that's how they beat Philly. In that final minute of the game, they just started shooting it. Like, they had that set play. Matter of fact, they did that set play 3 times, but they had that set play, but they were also creating all this bunch of havoc. Everybody was moving. And I found that power play, nobody moved. The only person that moved was Suzuki. He'd come out and then do his little skate in, and then he'd come back, and that was it. Everyone else was just standing where they were standing, and it was simple to it was simple
very
to
easy
defend
for the
against.
penalty killers.
It was very easy.
Yeah,
They didn't
especially when they were doing the crisscrossing. They do a change of direction. So Caulfield would come around the blue line, carrying the puck, but the puck would stay in the middle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the defender doesn't have to move.
Yeah. All Seth Jones had to do is stand beside Caulfield or get into, and that's all he did.
And then on the other side, whoever defended on their side just got close, just took the shooting lane away from Suzuki, and that was it. That killed the power
anything.
play.
Yeah.
And to me, Montreal's playing a very weird overtime because they don't really attack. They just kind of get their guys out, circle around the neutral zone until they can get an opening and then go in. And every team seems to be doing that lately. It's one of those, because I think they learn that if you attack too much at 3-on-3 and all of a sudden it's 3-on-1 going the other way, you're screwed. But as for the shootout, I mean, what can you say about Suzuki? He Datsukes almost every time, and it's just the way he comes in. He's patient. He comes in, he waits, and he just flips it. Like, it's not a hard shot. It's not he said, "Oh, that whole part of the net's open. Here you go, goal." And that's it. Just flicks it over the glove. Caulfield, I liked how he went low this time, because he normally 9 times out of 10 shoots high, even when he's shooting not in a shootout. Almost all his goals are high. And he went 5-hole, and then of course Doc with his goal, and then doing his little celebration.
I think that was it was a beautiful goal that he got. He just fired a pretty fast shot past Soderblom, and then the celebration kills me. I loved it, absolutely loved it. The fact that St. Louis put the entire top line out in the shootout says something about the team itself. But I think it was a bit of a little tip of the cap to Doc coming back to his former team, say, "Hey, here's your chance." I'm sure there was some money on the board that Doc had put up.
You froze there, so I don't know what you said last.
Of course I froze. But on my recording, I didn't freeze, just you guys. So we'll move on anyway. For the regular part of the game, the Canadians tended to carry the play through 5-on-5. They were 53% Corsi 4 at 5-on-5. They controlled the majority of the shooting, but it's not like they didn't give up a ton of chances either.
Yeah. And I'll
No,
give
and that-
a shout out to Sam Montembeault. Playing in back-to-back games. He definitely deserved it. He's played very well this season. They put his numbers up during the game, and they're right up there with some of the better goals.
Oh, now Matt froze.
Now Matt froze. Everybody's frozen. Yeah. So, but looking at the Canadians' heat map through the game as well, it was very, very dark around the net. Like they're going to the net.
Yeah.
So creating those 24, 25 high danger chances is because they went to the net.
And that's something we talked about the last episode, I think, is that Montreal wasn't going to the net. I think it was the Buffalo game.
Yeah.
Whatever game they lost. They weren't going to the net
Buffalo.
to create they weren't going to the net to create their chances, and they were getting rebounds and stuff like that. And it was also the game before Matt's dropped right out. It's also the game before Chicago. They played before Chicago.
Columbus.
So the Columbus game where there were high definition chances were 9 in total. We talked about it too. They weren't going to the net. They were just taking their shots, outside perimeter shots, taking their shots. And this game, it seemed that the change, and that's what I'm kind of liking about St. Louis coaching style, is he's seeing something that they're doing wrong, and he tries to correct it the very next game. I like
the fact that they take it in and then apply it the very next game.
That's what I mean. And then I also like the fact that the defense is jumping in. I noticed a lot more of the defense is starting to jump into the play. Edmondson got the goal. Savard scored against Columbus. Jack-Eye scored, but Jack-Eye, he has a tremendous shot. Like it's not a hard shot, it's just an accurate shot. And I kind of like that because Montreal hasn't had that for years. And that now that they have a guy like Matheson, he's probably the best puck mover we've had since PK Subban, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So things are looking good for the Canadians. They're improving now. If your team tank, it's going to piss you off because they're winning. But you also have to take consider. I mean, we'll get into this when we get into the quarter mark. But
yes.
Yeah, but I think in the Chicago game, in every game they kind of fix the issues that they had the game before, or try to implement new things, and it seems to be working out for them.
Yeah, I mean, I liked how they approached this game. It's a road game. They knew they didn't have to put on the show, so they just focused on playing simple, basic up and down north-south hockey, which, I mean, it was effective. They were able to, their transition game was very good. Monahan was a beast down low. They were able to generate the cycle for, long periods of time, even with Armia. Now, Armia, I mean, people are going to crap on him because he hasn't produced much, but in the last game or two, he started to show what he was before. So it looks like he's getting his legs under him now. And I agree. If you're on Team Tank, you must really hate the season thus far.
I mean, are we just going to go into the quarter mark, because this kind of leads into what I'm going to say?
No. We'll go into that in a minute. I wanted to talk about the hit on Slavkovsky. But once Matt, I wanted to get Matt's view, but I guess screw it. He's not here right now. We'll once he logs back in, we'll give him a shot. But what was your take of the hit?
I think it was a hit that should have been looked at. I don't think was there a penalty on the play? I don't remember.
No.
But I don't really quite remember the hit. Like, I know he got hit. I just don't remember how. And then I think Pizzetta went after the guy once he hit him. I like that from Pizzetta because that's what he's there for, basically. But it's tough to say. I'll be honest. I don't really remember how the hit went down. Um,
So Slafkovsky was coming into the zone, the offensive zone with speed, but he was reaching for the puck. So his head was down a bit and he was reaching. He-
right.
He was pulling up. As he was pulling up, the defender came across and made contact. It looked like right in the sternum, just underneath his chin is where he made the contact. And, clearly getting hit there, your head's going to snap forward. So his head went off a shoulder pad and then he went down. He looked a little bit shaken. I don't think it was a dirty hit, but
No,
I do.
neither do I.
agree.
Now that you mention it that way, I mean, if the initial contact was the sternum, then
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
how
I
can
do
you say it's a
agree that
dirty
it
hit?
should be looked at.
Should be looked at just to make sure that it wasn't a deliberate, because you do have a deliberate hit, but
Oh, no, he was deliberately hitting him.
yeah, but I think Slafkovsky went to the room and came back though. Like I think he went to the room really quick, like, and then came back. But,
He was out for a bit. He only played he just played under 8 minutes, which it's a little bit less than normal, but it's still less. I don't know. The way he came across and the puck, he had him lined up. He did. He was aiming to hit him. He didn't have the puck on his stick at the time when he was coming after him, and he came across from quite a ways. Now, maybe you could make a case that it was, I don't know, blindside some way. I think it's clean, but at the very least, it should be looked at.
I mean, from now that you described it and I remember it, I think it was just a hit. I mean,
It was a big hit.
I'm a component of if your head's down, you get hit. You shouldn't have had your head down. But you know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
And Slafkovsky does have an issue of that one hand reach thing that he does all the time.
Yeah, he puts himself in a vulnerable position on that play.
Yeah, and here comes Matt. He's back.
Here comes Matt.
Guess
Sorry
who's
about
back? Back again. It is Matt. Tell your friends. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who?
So, Matt, just so that we can get you in here, we were talking about the hit on Slafkovsky and what we viewed of it. So what was your take? You didn't listen to us at all, so we're going to give you a chance here once your internet catches up.
Yeah, hit on Slafkovsky. I got it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It looked like it was high. It looked like it was a high hit. It wasn't a late hit or anything. It just looked like it was high, but I like how Pizzetta stepped in there. I like how Jack-Eye skated in and kind of said, like, you can't do that kind of thing. Little disappointed that the player that threw the hit, Dickinson, didn't really stand up for himself or anything. He just kind of skated away, but it is what it is. He was kind of a thorn in their side that whole match. So I hope he's going to be all right. I haven't heard much about him as of yet. Hopefully he won't miss too much time, as he was starting to kind of get his stride a little bit more and everything. And there's opportunity there to move up the lineup. He just needs to take that, kind of take the bull by the horns and go. It's not like Armia's done too much. It's not like Dadonov's done too much. So there's spots there. And if you've got lines that are clicking, and we talked about Monahan earlier and how he's been able to find guys like Anderson, I've been saying for a while, throw Anderson with Slafkovsky and Monahan. I think it'd be a great line.
Yeah.
I will say this. There was an instance in the game where a Jack-Eye got on the ice and they quickly took Dickinson off the ice.
Yeah.
And I thought that was hilarious because they couldn't get him off quick enough when Jack-Eye got on the ice.
Right. And I'm not going to say Jack-Eye is going to go after him, but he might finish his check.
But it was a 2-1 game or a 2-2 game, and like Dave Poulin said, Jack-Eye smart. He's probably going to see what the score is. I don't think he's going to go after him, but I did find it awful funny that as soon as Dickinson got on the ice, as soon as Jack-Eye got on the ice, I mean, it was only like a 20-second shift, and they were trying to get him off the ice as quick as possible. Actually, matter of fact, it was during the break, and they were trying to do a line change, and they weren't allowed because they didn't want Dickinson on the ice with Jack-Eye on the ice. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it was an amusing thing. But all in all, good game. The Canadians are going to play the San Jose Sharks on Tuesday night. We'll see how they do then. Who's going to start the whole 9 yards? We'll talk about that another time. But for now, we'll move on to our views on the quarter mark of the season. The Habs are at that quarter mark. They're above 500. I mean, before the season started, I figured they'd be hovering near 500, but below. They're an actual above 500 because they're one game above 500.
Yeah, 11-10 or 11-9-1, whatever you want to.
Yeah, 11-9-1. So they'd be 11-10.
Yeah. First of all, to start this quarter mark, if anyone thought the Montreal Canadiens would be a last place team this year, obviously didn't pay attention to the 700-man games lost last year. Right?
Yeah.
Right then and there, if you were a smart hockey guy or if you paid good enough attention, you would have known that they weren't going to be the worst team in the league. They weren't going to make the playoffs. Don't get me wrong. Like if you look at it, you're like, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs with this roster. Also, you got to look at they've had a pretty easy schedule. So far this season. They do have 2 wins against Pittsburgh, but at the time Pittsburgh wasn't playing very good hockey. They are now. The only team that they really beat is Toronto, that you could look at and go, they probably shouldn't have won that game.
I mean, it goes without saying they beat the shit out of Toronto.
Right.
It's Toronto.
I'm not sure if Matt's just staring off into there he is.
He had the 1,000-yard stare there.
Yeah. But so to Team Tank, don't get your knickers too much in a knot. I know you guys are out there going, if we don't get a top 5 pick, we're going to be ruined forever. It's going to be devastating. It's going to be the worst season ever, which it won't be. It's like I said in a tweet yesterday or today, the management will adjust with wherever they draft.
Yeah, I still think they're going to be in the top 10 of the draft. I do.
I think they're drafting 7 or 8. I really do. I still think they're drafting 7 or 8. Yeah.
Thereabouts. Like, because you made a good point. They've had a bit of an easier schedule. They haven't had a lot of injury problems. No. They're going to start having those. The rest of the league is going to start picking up the pace, picking up their game.
Exactly.
The Canadians are going to have some injuries, not to mention they're still going to trade some guys away. So that's going to make it, dig a little deeper. And over the rest of the season, we'll notice that they drop down a bit. So if your Team Tank, I know you wanted them to lose a lot of games, but close ones. But give the season time.
If you want a team to tank this year, it's the Florida Panthers. Unprotected first round pick. And as of right now,
where are they?
As of right now, the Canadians are sitting 16th in the league. Florida 17th. Right. So for all the people out there that say, hey, we need to tank, we need a top 5 pick and everything. As of right now, I believe they have 11 picks going into the draft in 2023 with 2 first round picks. So just to calm down. It's a deep draft. Everyone's saying it's a deep draft. If you don't believe me, go online. If they're out there, read some of the scouting reports, and you'll see that the Canadians are going to walk away with a couple good players.
Panthers are due for a first overall pick. They haven't picked first overall since was it Ekblad?
Ekblad in 15,
yeah. So I'm just saying.
I mean, if you think about it, Montreal has, if both teams miss the playoffs, Montreal has 2 chances to get a number 1 pick.
Yeah.
As long as they're 11th, one of them's no higher than 11th anyway. So, because I think you can only move up 10, but
it's okay. I'll take a 2 and 3 as well.
But even if let's imagine that neither pick ends up in the top 5, which is not a big thing to imagine because I do believe that's what's going to happen. They're going to be outside the top 5, but both are in the top 10. How is there a parade for Hughes afterwards, trading Sherratt for a top 10 pick and a prospect?
Right.
Even if it's top 15, even if both are in top 15, you got 1 top 10, 1 top 15, you're still getting 2 stud players. Because, I mean, let's be honest, and I'll admit with some of Team Tank that I talked to, we still need an elite player. We do not have an elite player. Suzuki, high level. I would not put Suzuki in elite level status today.
No.
But not a franchise defining player.
No. There's only one franchise-defining player in this draft, and that's Bedard. And Montreal's not getting Bedard.
I'd argue there's another one in
Fantilli.
Fantilli.
Fantilli's catching
Maybe.
up. He's
Yeah.
definitely catching up.
People are going to see him a lot more come World Junior time, and they're going to be drooling.
Yeah, from what
about
he's
this
been
kid.
doing, with Michigan against against older competition, like he's making a name for himself.
He's no Lane Hudson, but he's okay.
But I mean, if you really think about it, like I several weeks ago, I made an uproar on Twitter when I said the Canadians do not need Bedard. That's
And
the money.
Matt Frozen.
Oh, Matt had the money shot there for a while, but anyway. So I didn't mean they didn't need a player like Bedard. What I said was they didn't need Bedard specifically.
True.
They do need top end talent. They do need another. If they could get a center that's better than Suzuki and have Suzuki as your number 2 center, you're laughing. You're laughing. You have a Crosby Malkin type duo, right? Or a McDavid Draisaitl type duo. Hopefully they build it like Pittsburgh did and not like Edmonton did. But if that's the case, that's what you need. Or you just need top end talent. Like you can still build a contending team with the top. I mean, they have Owen Beck coming up. They have Lane Hudson. They have
Joshua Waugh.
I'm not sure if Joshua Waugh is going to be top end, but I think he's going to be a solid third.
Be a top
line.
9.
He can be a top 9. Yeah.
Philip Massar. I think Philip Massar is going to be a pretty good player in the end.
I think so. Yeah.
You have a lot of guys coming up that could, and I think this defensive group, Gooley, maybe Harris or Struble, I don't know. I think this is going to make up a pretty good defensive core. All you need is your goalie, and we have time to worry about a goalie later. So
that seems to be the missing.
There's also a couple of goalies that are slated to go near the end of the second round.
Correct.
So maybe they pick one of them. Maybe. Yeah. But even if they don't, they can sign one later on.
Well, I just put an article out about that in 2025. You got Shesterkin, you got Thompson, you got Saros, you got
Linus
Linus Ullmark. You get all these goalies that are going to be free agents in 2025, which should be around the time that Montreal starts making that playoff / contending push.
Yeah. So, around there.
Yeah. That's a reasonable time to say that.
Yeah. And just by the by, when is Allen's contract done?
2024. And
like just before that.
Yeah, just before that free agency opens up. So,
and we know that this management group isn't stupid. So that does seem to track with what they're planning on doing.
I mean, I'm not saying they're going to get any of them goalies, but they're top-notch goalies that they could get to help. And they're all going to be around 30 come that. I think Thompson's going to be 29 and the rest are going to be around 30. So they're not going to be very old. You can sign them to 5-6 years. You're still going to have them till whenever. But yeah, Team Tank, you got to relax, man. Like Montreal's going to be picking top 10. Like I know if you don't pick top 5, it's over. Might as well forget about rooting for the Canadians because they're going to be a disaster for the next 30 years. Yeah. I get your argument on that, but you're totally wrong.
Well, just look at the work that Hughes put in during this draft. Like, yes, they moved a top, a very beloved defenseman. Let's just say that. I'm not gonna say a top defenseman, but a beloved defenseman in Romanov, was able to flip him and end up turning it into Kirby Dach. He walks in as of right now, sitting with 2 first-round picks, and we're thinking probably, let's just say 2 in the top 20, to be fair, right? He could easily use the highest pick and then trade the other one, and he might walk out with a top 4 defenseman. He might walk out with a top 6 forward. It's really hard to say.
He could have 2 more first-round picks before the end of the year.
Absolutely. There's teams that are going to be calling about Monahan.
Well, Monahan, like I know there's a group out there that wants to sign Monahan. I get it. He's only 28. Grant, we've had our discussion. I see your points, and I'm not. They're valid points. They're very valid points. So it was a good debate. But with the talent coming in and the fact that they might draft a center at this draft,
Yeah.
First of all, Monahan's, if he hits 50, 55 points, he's looking for $6 million.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
If
And
he's a top 6 center, he wants top 6 center money
right.
with term.
Right.
Right.
I like Sean Monahan. I like what they've brought. And the argument is, well, you flip Dvorak. The only thing is you're not going to get that return, and you're going to have to eat salary, etc. And I don't think Hughes wants to go down that avenue. However, you do need to bring in a center, whether through the draft or through a trade, free agency, etc. That's gonna be the guy that move out when you do move Monahan out.
So like with Monahan, like you said, term, he's going to want at least 5 years, at least, right?
Exactly.
And that's going to
push.
And
does his age fit the current core group when you think about the term? No.
Right.
So yeah, he's great right now. He looks like he's rehabilitated himself to a certain point, and that he could honestly play second line role. Guys like that on an expiring contract come a deadline are worth at least a first
round. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a first plus. So do you turn down another first round pick in what could be the best draft in the history of the league, or sign a 28-year-old center with 2 hips that could go bad over a 5-year term?
Right.
At +6.
Now, Grant made a good point. If they're fighting for a playoff spot, or they're in that wild card spot at the time, maybe they keep them as their own rental. And sure,
maybe
I don't see them there. I don't see them there come. But even still, I'm like, I look at that as poor asset management, because like you said, now you're hoping that this guy gets you into the playoffs, because you're not making it to the cup. Let's be realistic here. Like, Allen's not taking you on a Carey Price ride to the Stanley Cup.
That's true.
Well, I mean,
that's true.
Kemper did win a cup.
Yeah, but
he's better than Kemper.
Yeah, but look at the team he had in front of him.
Yeah. When you have Makar, Landeskog, McKinnon, etc.
Etc. Lehkonen, hello.
Yeah, well, Lehkonen did score the winning goal to get them to the Stanley Cup again.
Again.
But
I do agree with your asset management comment.
Yeah. Like it's to me, it's poor asset management, especially for a team who's mostly looking at the future and not at the present.
Yeah.
If you have the opportunity to bring in a first, you do it.
Right. Especially in this draft.
Right. And that would likely be a later first round pick. However,
yes,
maybe that's another one that you look to flip and you keep your 2 highest, right? Like, you don't know.
Or you package.
Or you package 2 of them together and get another top 10 pick.
Yeah.
If some team's stupid enough to do that, but I think that would be a pretty dumb move in this draft, to be honest with you.
Senators.
But you know what? It's really what they're looking for. If you take 3 first round picks and package them, you never know. It's really,
you might get Bedard,
right? So even then,
and you never know. Mitchkov could drop with all his situations.
He's going to slide.
Yeah, he's going to slide.
He could sit there. If you're picking 7 or 8, he could be sitting there at 7 or 8.
He ends up down lower.
Well, he could, because you're probably not going to see him in the league for 3 years anyway because of his Russian status, right?
So
that's the thing. That's part of why he would probably slide. Yeah. You got that war that's causing problems. The contract that's a little bit longer than what most teams are comfortable with. Yeah. His injury to start the season. All of that could cause him to slide out of the top 10.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys that if he's available, you get a jump on.
If he ends up being the pick they get for the Florida pick, I'm going to laugh my whole off. I'm making a video on the Nashville arena floor with just me laughing hysterically if that happens.
Thanks, Ben Sherratt.
Yeah.
Greatest Montreal Canadiens defenseman ever.
Honestly, that would become that would top uh, the what is that trade tree that started with Craig
Craig
Rivet.
Craig Rivet. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
So-
that's still going.
It is still going. Suzuki's on it.
Yeah.
So it would be the start of another trade tree. But I mean, really, if you're looking at the draft this year, I'm watching one kid that really closely. That's Leo Carlson. He might end up in the top 5. He will be in the top 10, but 6'3" center, 200 pounds, hands of gold. He can skate like the wind. And in any other draft, he would probably go first.
I was, Carlson is a guy I was looking at 7 or 8 because that's where I think. But I don't see a big center like that not getting drafted in the top 5. I guess it all depends on who needs what. Because I mean, look at Shane Wright and why he dropped, because New Jersey wasn't picking a center, so you knew he wasn't going second. You know what I mean? Now he could have went third, but Arizona decided to go for the long term the pick. But mind you, pretty much the top 8 players are all centers anyway. So I guess whoever's drafting to get the center regardless. So, so
unless
I guess it doesn't
for
really
some
matter,
reason
but,
someone picks Cam Allen.
well, it's possible, I guess.
Well,
But you're really going to have to be desperate for what's Cam Allen, the defenseman, isn't he? You're really going to have to be
right-handed
you're
defense.
going to really have to be desperate for a defenseman to pick Cam Allen in the top 10.
Right.
Yeah, and you got Mitchkov in there too as a winger. Now you're looking at Braden Yeager, Zach Benson, Edward Sale, who's a Callum Ritchie out of Oshawa. Callum Ritchie would be an amazing center.
Callum
Dalibor
Ritchie's big.
Dvorsky.
I watched him play there a couple weeks ago when I was in Oshawa, and he's a big boy. Now, he didn't really impress me, but the Oshawa's a terrible team.
He's a strong two-way guy.
Yeah. But Ritchie and one of the other guys I mentioned there, one of the first ones you mentioned.
Yeager.
Yeager. To me, if they're picking 7, 8 and Yeager's available, I'm taking Yeager.
Yeah, maybe. And then you got Dalibor Dvorsky, a Slovak.
Oh yeah,
maybe you can
another one.
Reunite the entire Slovak top line.
But this is just the thing, though. This is like you're worried about not picking top 5, but look at all the names that are in the next 5.
Yeah. And
That's
you
right.
always have guys that are going to make a run as well that are right now outside the top 30, 32 that are going to jump and come out of nowhere type thing, or just explode at the juniors or something like that, right?
And this is what I mean by you don't need Bedard. Like, don't get me wrong. If we can get Bedard, you're picking Bedard or Fantelli, you're going for it.
Right.
However, you don't need them to build a contender. Like, you don't need that elite player. It just helps and it makes it go faster.
Yeah.
But if you can get top end talent,
having Bedard would be great, but if you can get 2 of these guys that I've just named, including Will Smith, that make me feel pretty jiggy. Charlie Stramel.
Oh, that was so bad.
oh, all right, I'm out. I'm done.
That was so bad. That was so bad.
It's over.
No, but Will Smith's going to the Wild Wild West.
It's not like he's just going to,
that was worse.
stroll.
Worse.
He's not going to just stroll up and slap somebody in the face. He's going to have to earn his spot.
Yeah.
You guys are terrible. You guys are just terrible.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll go to Vancouver, be the new King Richard.
Keep that name out your mouth.
Are we done?
Yeah, I guess. All right.
But Team Tank, don't worry. Montreal will drop. They're going to have harder competition coming up. It's been an easy schedule for them so far. After Christmas, it's going to get harder. You're going to see players moved out. And unless Montembeault becomes a super stud in the next Carey Price, I don't see us really doing anything.
I saw people making comments about him being the next starter for the Canadians.
Yeah, that was on my article.
Oh no, on
Twitter.
Facebook
Yeah,
and
so
on my
we can-
Twitter. If
Yeah.
he's anything other than shocked, I'd be shocked if he's more than backup.
Well, I'll be honest. I'm shocked that he's doing as well he is. Like, we all know how much I liked him last year. I didn't even think he was a capable AHL starter, but he's playing very well. I'll give him credit where credit is due, but I don't see him being a starter. A solid
You're just
backup.
I'm going to just put this out here. Just remember, Antiniemi was a .930 goaltender within his first season with the Canadiens. What happened to him?
I liked Antiniemi. I think we should just
So
bring Artur Zerbe back out of retirement. Bring him in the wall.
Cristobal Huet,
First of all, Huey.
the
David
Crystal
Abishire.
Wall.
David Abishire.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Enough of that craziness. Matt, any final thoughts?
I apologize that Kojiko internet's fucking terrible.
It's true.
I didn't know who was worse. I got O faces from you, and I got friggin' money shots from you, and I'm like, what's going on here? That's pretty much how.
Yeah,
it
so I
was.
apologize to everyone for that.
I guess being in Ottawa is the only time you get good internet. I'm right down from
Fair.
Parliament Hill, so
Apparently.
Yeah, there's so many jokes. So tempted. Oh, dad jokes are in there. I got to hold them back. All right. Treg, what about you? Final thoughts?
yeah, just what I said. Team Tank, relax. Just relax. Enjoy the
We'll end
ride.
up with a lot more. The games have been entertaining. Enjoy that.
Enjoy the ride.
I fully expect the rest of the season, they're going to be very competitive, but they will slide. So, oh well. And for me, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Share with your friends. Remember, like and subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Like when we go live on YouTube, you'll get a notification if you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Subscribe on Megaphone. You can pick any of the podcast platforms that you want, and you will get our shows the second they come out. Also, if you don't subscribe, just search us. Habs Unfiltered is going to be the name of the show on every one of these platforms. We're not numbered anymore. It's /Habs Unfiltered on all the podcast platforms. We are still working on the production side of the show, but at least we're able to share what we've done poorly with all of you. And text messages, and all the comments online, everything. Keep that up. We really, really enjoy that community that's built up around us. And remember, if you're talking about it, so are we. Here we go. And we're still live on YouTube. So, Matt, this is just on YouTube. No one else, just the three of us and whoever's going to watch it in the next 50 years.
Is
Tell
there
us.
is there anybody online right now?
Tell secrets. I don't know.
Oh,
I had to minimize that
that
window just so I can.
tell or not.
Yeah, you can if you have the window up, and I don't.
Well, I don't have it up either. Check.
Matt, come on, tell us a secret.
I
Tell
got
us a
none. I
secret.
got none, unfortunately.
No secrets. There's gotta be a secret.
I got none, unfortunately.
Treg's looking this up on YouTube right now. I can tell by the way his mouth is open.
There's three watching right now. One
Does
was
that
me.
include you?
That was probably including me. Yeah.
All right,
See?
let's cut her.
All right. All right, boys. I'll
Okay.
get this out as